All right, welcome to algebraic geometry. We're going to start off with the first part, reviewing some algebraic concepts. Let's start with solving equations. Okay, to solve equations, a lot of times you have to translate. Algebra, just like French and German, is a foreign language. And so we're just going to translate word for word what's happening in these sentences. Right? So, a number divided by 5. You can also put things above the words and then put it into an expression afterwards. So a number, usually we use just any letter, most often X, but it can be Q, N, D, whatever you like. Divided by, well, that's simply division symbol, and well, there's my number 5. So what does this translate to? Simply X divided by 5. 2 and a number multiplied by 4. 2 and a number. Okay? So this is one thing happening together, then being multiplied by 4. So, and here is going to mean we're adding them together. So 2 and a number, and then multiplied. We can put the 4 on either side, but usually we put numbers in front for what we'll talk about later, the distributive property. Hopefully you remember from algebra. But it would not be wrong if we put 2 plus x with the 4 over here. Just like it wouldn't be wrong if we put x plus 2. That's the same thing. With addition, it doesn't matter. And with multiplication, order doesn't matter. 6 less than a number. Now this is a tricky one. If you just write, like we did up in the first one, like that less than means minus, and number is x, you might want to write 6 minus x. Okay? Also, some people might want to write the less than symbol. Okay? Like this. The way you know the difference between subtraction and an inequality is you would want it to say 6 is less than a number. That would be the inequality. So we're not going to use that. But if you're tempted to write this, and this happens all the time, think about it. 6 is less than the number. Okay? 6 less than a number. Well, in that case, let's say our number was 10. Do we really want to write 6 minus 10? Or do we want to write 10 minus 6? 6 less than a number. The number actually goes in front. So this should translate to x minus 6. That is the correct way of doing it. You might want to put a star by this one because this one is missed all the time. Very common. And last, a number. Board needs to be oriented a little bit. Sorry about that. Move that down. Okay, a number multiplied. Now remember, we don't use an x for multiplied because we're now in algebra. So a number multiplied by 12, and here we have that, is greater than 17. So, not too bad right there. This board needs to be adjusted a little bit. Sorry about that. That's not going to happen. Okay, so a number multiplied by x, x times 12 is greater than 17. That's not 17, that's 12. So here we go, let's try this again. 17. Or again, you could write it 12x is greater than 17. On to the order of operations. Please excuse me, dear Aunt Sally. Hopefully you remember PEMDAS. P-E-M-D-A-S. Now remember, these two go together and these two go together. Multiplication and division have equal power. Addition and subtraction have equal power. So in this case, what do I have going on here? I have an exponent and plus. Which comes first? Exponents. So this is going to be 5 squared plus 13, which is going to be 38. Now what do I have going on here? I have addition and I have multiplication. Okay? We don't do 13 times 4. We're going to do 7 plus, because this addition comes after multiplication. 6 times 4 is 24. And 24 plus 7 is 31. Now, again, addition and subtraction have equal footing, but what do we have here? We have parentheses, which means we got to do that first. So that's going to be 3 plus, that's a big old plus, 3 plus 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. And 3 minus 1 is 2. Now, here's where you got to be careful. We see the A first before the S and go, oh, we should do 14 plus 2 and get 16 and 8 minus 16, but that would be wrong. Because we're not subtracting 16. We're just subtracting the 2 right there. Now, if the 2 and 14 were in parentheses, like so, then yes, we would do 14 plus 2 and subtract it from 8. But we're not doing that. We're only subtracting the 2. So therefore, we do 8 minus 2 first, which is 6, plus 14, and then 6 plus 14 is 20. Final answer. Okay, now we have some basic equation solving. We want to get the variable by itself. What's happening to the variable? It's being increased by 3. If we want to undo that, we do the opposite, which is subtract 3 from both sides. Which gives me x equals 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Be careful of that. And the beauty of algebra is you can take this bad boy and plug it back in here. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Check. What's happening here? It's being decreased by 5, so we're going to add 5 to both sides. That cancels, giving me y equals 7. Again, we can plop this back in here. 7 minus 5 is 2. Good to go. Now, we don't see a plus or minus sign. That's because there's no addition or subtraction. Now, we don't have to have parentheses or a dot to show multiplication. When we just have it side by side like this, that means multiplication. So I'm going to divide to undo multiplication. And I do that on both sides. And that gives me A equals 6. Again, I can plop that back in here. 6 times 6 is 36. Check. A little bit more work. Now there's a bit more going on. What's happening? Well, we have some multiplication going on here and addition here. Well, think about it. If we're undoing, we're working against what happened. So when we added, we subtracted. Multiply, we divide. We're working backwards. Well, what's the backwards way of PEMDAS? That would be SADMAP. So when we're undoing an equation, we work backwards. So we want to undo subtraction and addition before we undo multiplication and division. So I'm going to get rid of this 3 first. Very common mistake is to divide by 2. You don't want to do that yet. That gives me 2x equals 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Now I divide, and I'm good to go. X equals negative 1. But again, I can check my work real quickly, even in my head. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Check. Good to go. Here I got multiplication again and subtraction. So I'm going to undo the subtraction first. Both sides. 6 times A equals 15 plus 9 is 24. Now I undo the multiplication with division. And that gives me A is 4, which I can check. Whoops. 6 times 4 is 24, and 24 minus 15 is 9.